What are we about to do right now? I'm going to talk about Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein's podcast and why it should have been left in 2020. I really wanted to talk about this podcast because I've actually watched this podcast, all 20 hours of it. And as some of you may have already guessed, there is a lot going on with it. So I'm going to talk about it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But of course, before that, I'd like to read my comment shout out from my last video. Okay, but how is D'Angelo getting progressively cuter? Money. So who is this video even about? One party is Trisha Paytas, an extremely problematic YouTuber, basically known for her insensitive videos mocking everyone from the trans community to people with DID. And then the other person in this equation is Ethan Klein, one of the YouTubers behind the hugely popular channel H3H3 Productions, which he ran with his wife Hila. And their conflict is that for some reason they decided to start a weekly podcast despite their completely clashing personalities and their rocky history. And to top it all off,
Trisha is dating my wife's brother.
So yeah, it's a mess. But before I unpack that, let's unpack today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Audible. Audible is the place for audiobooks and titles of all kinds. You can choose from any genre and you can listen no matter what you're doing in the background. Audible has recently launched Audible Plus, which gives you access to their entire Plus catalog, full of thousands of titles, podcasts, ad-free versions, and even Audible originals. And you can listen to it all right from the Audible app. I'm currently listening to How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Actually, I'm already really good at both of those things. Why am I listening to that? I should have written that. Dale Carnegie wishes he was verified on Twitter. I'm still learning stuff from it though. Honestly, I just think the new year is the perfect time to learn something new to make up for failing literally all of my other New Year's resolutions. So visit audible.com/D'Angelo or text D'Angelo to 500-500 to start your free 30-day trial today. Now let's get back to the video. So first, I really do want to go over what I think is good about this podcast because surprise of all surprises, it's not 100% terrible. One of the only reasons this podcast works and I've been able to get through it is because Trisha Paytas is actually her real self on this podcast. She's not this extremely fake dramatic. Well, she is. That's literally her real self, and she basically admits it.
I think it's safe to say I'm the most dramatic. I try to start beef with everybody.
Yeah.
She goes into detail about how a lot of her previous videos have been for attention as well. And it's like, I'm not congratulating her for doing the bare minimum, but I do find it a refreshing change of pace. Another strong point is that Trisha is extremely funny on this podcast, like because of how mean she is. It's funny.
Sorry, I'm not doing this to be cute.
No one thinks you look cute.
She's also really dumb on purpose.
Like, we actually don't need it.
What do you mean that we don't need gravity?
What if it was never invented?
Which I also find funny. I don't know why. And then on the other hand, there's some things I didn't expect from Trisha Paytas here. She's actually very open about a lot of her real struggles.
He said he went to therapy this year, so hopefully that helped because it helped me. Like, if you're always on the defense, like I was always on the defense for so long, like it's just more because you're like broken and you don't want to get hurt.
Besides being open about her experience with therapy and the various mental issues that she goes through, she talks a lot about experiences that she's had that she's never opened up before.
Yeah, I had an overdose on February 5th of 2019. That's when I went to the mental hospital. They thought I was trying to kill myself.
Xanax?
I know a lot about Trisha Paytas, and to quote a tweet, all of it is against my will. But I have to say, I never knew that she was going through quite this much. Now, she's not the only person. This podcast is co-hosted, and I have a lot to say about Ethan Klein as well. First of all, Ethan is actually even funnier than Trisha.
You like how it makes your head look prolonged?
Yeah, because it makes me look skinnier.
It makes it look like you had like a birth defect or something.
I don't know why people being mean to each other is funny, but I still laughed. Obviously, what's more important than that, though, is that he's surprisingly cognizant of Trisha's mental problems that she goes through on the show. You know, sometimes when she starts getting really bad, which, she does. We're going to get to that in a second. I noticed that he doesn't push her. A lot of times he tries to stop her.
I am doing the most. I'm fasting, so I'm angry.
Hold on. Just slow down. You seem really caustic today.
And he doesn't just abandon Trisha Paytas like I think most people do when they come to the conclusion that it's kind of difficult to handle her. But yeah, I mean, you know me. I can't spend an entire video saying good things about something. That would be insane. So next, I'm going to talk about the bad parts of the Frenemies podcast. First of all, Trisha Paytas crosses the line so far. Trisha Paytas pole vaults over the line at least once per episode. One thing that she loves to do for some reason is attack Ethan's wife. Trisha goes on and on about how Hila secretly hates her. Trisha is constantly putting words in her mouth.
You say, Hila doesn't like me. Hila doesn't ever say hi to me.
I think at first her dislike for Ethan's wife was kind of funny, or at least they tried to play it off as a joke. But it got just weirdly real when during an argument, Trisha storms out and calls her the C word.
Okay.
I literally don't care. Literally, I don't want to come back because I really fucking hate her.
If that's not bad enough, she also routinely brings up off-limits things to make Ethan feel like dirt, basically. Randomly bringing up the fact that he had a pill addiction that he had to overcome. She also just repeatedly claims that Ethan wants to cheat on his wife with her. She goes as far as to insult their parenting skills.
When you have a kid, you should try and be with it as much as possible, not
be with it.
Strangers.
Yeah, nothing says bad parenting to me like making sure that your child is being watched while you make money to provide a nice life for them. Bad dad. Another thing that she does on this podcast, which I personally just find so hard to watch.
I'm not going to say anti-Semitic.
I love Jews. We always talk about this.
Yeah, but it goes to a point of like fetishizing them.
True, yeah.
Trisha goes on and on about how she loves Jewish people, which is super weird because, again, you know, she's dating Ethan's sister's brother, who is Jewish.
But I just love them.
They're so interesting. What do you love about Jews?
They're so different.
And then remember how earlier I was like, oh, she plays dumb. It's so funny. Okay, yeah, sure. Pretending not to know what gravity is amusing. But pretending like you didn't know what the Holocaust was.
You just found out about the Holocaust?
I had no idea.
What? It's like borderline unwatchable when she does that. I physically cringe and I want to turn it off.
Well, what did Hitler do that was so bad?
But remember, Ethan is also a host of the podcast and he has similar problems. I have to be honest, Ethan Klein does not do any research for this podcast at all. Like anytime Trisha says, oh, I have beef with this person, Ethan almost immediately sides with her for some reason, which results in like entire episodes dedicated to beef that Trisha made up. He also says really cringy things on his podcast that are very easy to fact check.
With Shane, it's not like he necessarily did anything.
Yeah.
It's all like bad jokes from a long time ago.
Right.
Whereas Chris is like actively doing slimy stuff.
So I've kind of talked about the good parts of the podcast. I've kind of talked about the bad parts of the podcast. But now I'd like to talk about the ugly parts. So first of all, Trisha Paytas has had more than one mental breakdown on this podcast. They very much played the first one up for laughs because, I mean, they were wearing Halloween costumes. It was kind of hard not to laugh at. But I'm going to be honest, the second time that she stormed off of the set, it was not at all funny. It was very clear to me that she was mentally unwell in that moment, which she later confirmed herself. And again, because I'm really trying to balance this video out since this is Ethan's podcast as well, I think he plays a huge part in this. Yes, like I said, I truly believe that he does his best to manage Trisha Paytas and her outbursts. But it's like once they happen, he's really happy to profit off of them, basically. Making podcast highlights out of her breakdowns. The show, in some way, is kind of dependent on, ooh, is Trisha going to have a breakdown this week? And I think that's just really not a great show to run, and I don't think that's a very ethical choice to make. Trisha herself has confirmed that she struggles with BPD, and obviously that excuses absolutely none of her behavior because these are still choices that she's made. But I believe it becomes really obvious that she has BPD in situations like this, and I don't want to tune in for the BPD breakdown show. I truly find that horrendous. A lot of people say about the show like, oh, Trisha's such a bad person and Ethan is such a good person for putting up with her. And I mean, yeah, Trisha kind of is a bad person, but I don't think any of that has to do with her breakdowns or the BPD at all. And I really don't think Ethan Klein is a saint for putting up with it, because if you haven't noticed, he's also putting up with a ton of views. I haven't even made a video about Trisha Paytas by herself yet, and probably won't in the future, specifically because of how many mental issues she deals with. And if anything, this podcast has really just shown me like there's a lot there that I'm not even qualified to handle, and I truly don't believe Ethan Klein is handling it in the best way possible for her either. It gets views, but at what cost, basically. What I've learned from this is, if you're going to collaborate with Trisha Paytas, just do it on her OnlyFans. Besides, you'll make more money anyway. Well, I'll be here all week, folks, at 2 p.m. Central Time. If it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that means I'm uploading a new video here. If it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, that means I'm going live over on Twitch. So basically what I'm saying is, I'll see you tomorrow. Unless, of course, tomorrow is Sunday, in which case, Just watch this video again. Okay, bye.